Hi there. I previously reviewed The Warrior Elite by Dick Couch, which looked at the a class going through BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, which is a 6 month process. But at the end of it, they are still not SEALs. So Dick Couch wrote a subsequent book, and it's this one. And it's called The Finishing School, and it's earning the Navy SEAL Trident. So once the guys finish BUDS, and this book starts with a short overview of that process from basic to in-doc, first phase, second phase, third phase. Then the next thing that they have to do is, as a class, they go to Airborne School, the US Army's Airborne School of Fort Benning. Now, this has been described as 3 days of training intensively crammed into 3 weeks. And to the SEALs, it's a bit of a holiday, really. It's not arduous at all, and they've been known to, when classes being punished with 10 push-ups, they've done 50, this kind of thing. So they go through the airborne training, and then they're in the pipeline for the training which produces the Trident. Now, in the past, this was called cadre training, and it was done by the platoons. So after BUDS, the guy went to his platoon, and he was trained there, and he went through all the things he needed to do, and then it finished with a board of the chiefs and officers, and it went on for hours being questioned on details of the diving equipment and the weapons and tactics and everything, and then they may get the Trident at the end of that. Then it became STT, SEAL Tactical Training, which was done in either the West Coast or the East Coast. Then it was solidified at the time of writing of the book, which was during the build-up to the Iraq War, into SQT, SEAL Qualification Training, which was done at Coronado on the West Coast. So they all go through that program, and they go after BUDS, that they start this process. So some of the things that the book covers, which I found of tremendous interest, was the medic training. And at the time of the book, they had introduced tactical combat casualty care, which was replacing advanced trauma life support. And most of the guys, even the medics in the class, had been trained in atolls. And as a result of Mogadishu, the military had gone to TCCC, and with the march protocol and this kind of thing, stopping hemorrhage and the kind of things that are fairly familiar now. So the class is introduced to that and given a couple of scenarios to answer, and then corrected onto how in TCCC they would deal with it. And it was an eye-opener to most of them. The only problem was, at the time, they weren't being issued with CAT or hemostatic equipment. Hadn't really been developed. It was rolled out later as Afghanistan and Iraq evolved, and the feedback from those two theatres showed that the training and the equipment was essential and was life-saving. But at the time of the book, they were still issuing the old tourniquet cravats, or you had to improvise one. So that's something that had to be introduced. Then and another element is they hand-to-hand training at the time was CQD, Close Quarter Defence, which was created by Dwayne Dieter. One of the things that involved was what was called hooded box drills, where the candidate is put in a room. There's a hood. He has to stand in a box, a denoted box marked on the floor, and there's a hood placed on his head which is whisked off by an electric motor, and then he faces a scenario. It can be armed, unarmed, he can be armed, he can be with his long gun, or use hand-to-hand combat depending on the situation that's facing him, which is a pretty good intermediate step to scenario training in a way. The Navy eventually did away with CQD, even though in the book, and Dick Couch seems to like it and think it was decent training, they did away with it. I think SEAL Team 6 were the first to abandon it, and 6 replaced CQD with another instructor who, in my opinion, isn't, shall we say, isn't the real thing. I think now they do more of a BJJ based system, as far as I know. I'm not sure, but that's the evolution. So CQD at one time was what they were training. The book then goes into the pistol training and the weapons training with the long gun in detail, and the guys are taken through drawing the weapon, close shooting from retention position, from extension position, and really putting a lot of rounds down range. The shooting portion is really intensive. Midway through SQT, they do a combat conditioning run, which is 13 miles through the desert in full kit. So really arduous, particularly since it involves time limits and also a couple of shooting evolutions on the way. So it's all good stuff. One of the things in the book, which is really interesting, one of the chief warrant officers in the training has rules to live by in naval special warfare, and it's several pages. One of them, strive for perfection. You'll never get there. Perfection doesn't exist for SEALs, but we can always do better. Another one, train as you would fight. An old army saying, but a good one. When possible, train with all the gear you will use in real combat. Train as hard and realistically as possible. That means don't cut corners. Another one, responsibility, accountability. Ultimately, you have responsibility to the chain of command and to this country to be prepared to risk your life and the lives of your teammates as you go in harm's way to successfully complete the mission. You are accountable to do what is necessary to make this happen. On a smaller scale, take your responsibilities seriously and be accountable for your actions. When you have a good idea that benefits your platoon or team, share it with other teams. If you don't know or didn't understand, ask. It's your responsibility to find out. Research, demonstrate an unquenchable desire to know everything about your job. If something is broken or not right, take the initiative to fix it or make it right. Don't wait for someone else to take action. They're just a couple from a very extensive list, and it's really interesting, and it's certainly lots of food for thought. So the book is it's quite a decent read, lengthwise, very, very comprehensive, takes you through all the things. After SQT, the guys go to the platoons, and then there's this really extensive build-up cycle, which he demonstrates, where all the platoon skills, all the diving, the weapons training, the tactics, rehearsed exhaustively. This is something that the movies never ever cover. In the action films, the guys are sent off on a mission at a moment's notice, and they never ever show the planning, the rehearsals, the build-up training, do it again, the testing of the equipment, the logistics involved. And so the book does give you a real insight into that. And it's a good follow-on to his previous book about the buds training.